Hi, welcome to Temple University and the College of Science and Technology. I'm Evelyn Vleck. I'm both an instructor and an advisor here in the Department of Biology, and I'm here today to give you a few words of wisdom about being successful in your courses, how to study, what to do, and succeed in the tough science courses that you'll be facing. So I'm going to start out by saying clearly you've been successful, in high school, you've made it this far, you're eager to start your new career here at Temple, and everybody's ready to hit the ground and get started to being successful in their courses. So there are some things different here about studying at Temple than you may have encountered in high school. First of all, you're only going to meet with your instructors perhaps twice a week, 3 times a week, or just once a week. So it'll be up to you to maintain that continuity and to be ready to attend your classes and be ready for the discussions and activities that might be held during that time. So let's start out by saying, what do I say first to students? And I'll tell them first that they should read in advance. Read the material that you're going to be covering in class. And you might say, oh, well, the teacher's going to cover that, but you want to be ready. You want to be ready for questions and be able to participate in those activities and discussions that occur. Second of all, I'd say to you, practice note-taking. Good note-taking is the key to having good material to study for the exams. So like any skill, it needs practice. If you're not a good note-taker, don't just say I'm not a good note-taker, go and practice it. Turn on a TV, turn on a documentary, listen to it and take notes. Put those notes aside when you're done, and then come back to them an hour later, a day later, and see if you can read them and they make sense to you. Do they flow? If that's the case, if you can read it and make sense of it, then you're a good note taker. All right? So good note taking is a key. Students come to me all the time and say, oh, I don't need to do that. I don't need to attend class. I don't need to take notes. The professor puts the PowerPoints up. But those aren't the end-all, be-all. So I'm going to encourage you to take time to attend class. You've read the material, you've learned how to take good notes. Those PowerPoints are there just for an outline for you as a guideline for the material. By attending the class, the professor is going to tell you some anecdotal stories perhaps, or give you clearer explanations about that particular topic. And that's going to make things a lot clearer for you, and you'll actually realize what you don't know about the topic, and you'll be able to ask for clarification right there in the class. Raise your hand. Don't be afraid that there's 250 or 500 students. Pretend there's nobody else but you and that instructor. I've taken courses here myself, and I don't worry about what anybody else thinks. I just ask the question. If I'm confused, there are other people that are confused. So don't be afraid to ask those questions, all right? So, all right, you've taken class notes. You're all set to go. Now you've got to study, all right? And the best tip that I have for studying actually came from a colleague of mine. And her advice was to go home, you've had class, perhaps you have Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. You're done with class on Monday. Your first inclination is, oh, put the book in the book pack away and not worry about it till Wednesday. But I want you to do something different. I want you to take a break, come back to the notes that evening or the next morning, take a look at them and read through them. Mark question marks where you didn't understand something. Go back to your textbook. Try to get clarification for that material and add it into your notes, all right? And if you still are confused by things, if you still don't understand, then leave that question mark there. And when you come into class on Wednesday or the following day, then raise your hand, or perhaps if you are intimidated by the class size, go up to the professor and say, I have a question about last class meeting's notes. Do you have time now, or could I meet with you after class? And they'll always welcome that. Or can I ask you the question, and perhaps other students might need a clarification, and could you cover that at the beginning of the class for us? And they'll do that for you, because if you have that question, again, other students have that. Okay? If you don't want to do it that way, just make an appointment. Go see that instructor. Bring your notes with you. Say, this is where I have questions. I've tried to go back to the book and clarify it, but I don't understand. Can you please clarify this for me? Going to see the professor, meeting with the professor, being in class. You might think that professors don't see, you in a sea of 250 or 500 students, but we do. We see people's faces. We know who's there and who's not. We might not know your name, but we know you're there. And when you come to our office, we know you've been attending. We know that you're genuinely interested, and we're going to be eager to help you get through and be successful in that course. Okay, so not only will that help with that, but if you come to me later on for a recommendation, I know who you are. I've met with you. I've maybe talked about some personal things. I know you one-on-one, and it'll be a great opportunity for me to talk to and speak to your strengths as a candidate for a particular job or a research position. So, all right, you've gotten your questions answered, you have all your notes, it comes time to get ready to study for the class, right? And I said that you were going to go back and you're going to read those notes. And you've asked the professor the questions. And so now Wednesday you're back in class, you take more notes, and you're going to repeat the same thing for each class time. Thursday you're going to sit down, you're going to review those notes, go back and meet if you have to. And each class time, if you do that, what you're going to see is that you're going to read from the beginning. So when you do Thursday's notes, you're going to read Monday's notes and Wednesday's notes. And each time when you repeat, you start from the beginning, and in actuality, you're studying the whole time. So it comes to the day before the exam or a few days before, and you're not having to cram because you've been studying all along. And you're going to feel so much more confident, you're going to have a great knowledge base, and really all you have to do then is that evening before, sit down and review a little bit. But as you go, you might say, oh, that sounds like an inordinate amount of time. It's going to take me forever to do that. But in fact, it's so much more efficient because you've been reviewing. As you go through each time, it gets quicker and quicker because you're remembering those notes from that first Monday or that first Wednesday and so on. And you'll go into the exam then much more confident, less anxiety, no fear, because you will have nailed that material, right? You know it. So you get to the exam and test-taking strategy, okay? Take a few minutes first. You sit down, take a deep breath. I always say to the students, take a deep breath. It's only an exam. It's not the rest of your life, right? Review the questions, take a look at what you need to attack, right? Then start. If you get to a question that you're stumped, don't get yourself all anxious. Move on, answer the questions that you can answer easily, keep moving through the exam, come back to those questions that you were stumped on at first, okay? Maybe as you've gone through, those questions that you've already answered will jog your memory and you'll be able to answer that and you'll say, oh, I should have known that, okay? That was easy. I don't know what I was all flustered about. And you'll move on and answer that question. All right, so you've finished your exam, right? You've paced yourself, you've gotten through the exam, you get it back, and of course, if you've practiced all the skills that you were supposed to practice and you've attended, you've been, immensely successful at the exam. But perhaps you get it back and it's not quite where you want it to be. You didn't do as well as you would have liked, and you're not sure why. You think you did everything you were supposed to do, but you're just not sure. So you can do several things. You can throw the exam in the garbage and forget about it and say the next one will be better. Or you can be proactive and make a good choice, and that would be to meet with a professor, to review the exam, to say, what did I do wrong here? This is what I did. Can you take a look at my notes? Am I doing something wrong? Am I focusing on the wrong things? How do you recommend I approach this material? And that will give you a better idea of what to do, okay, in the future. Don't wait till that last exam and come to a professor's office and say, what can I do now? I failed the first two exams. I'm really struggling. If you tell me now what I can do, I know I can ace the last exam. That is not going to work, all right? You've got to be proactive at the beginning. And if you do that, you're going to be successful in each successive exam. Yes. So, okay. Tests are done, you're successful. Sorry, I actually just lost my train of thought, see that? But anyway, you've got your tests all done, you've succeeded in the course, There are all kinds of other test-taking strategies you can do that you can think about. A couple other recommendations I can make for you, going back to the note-taking, is if you're not a good note-taker or you still think you've honed your skills but perhaps you want a little more, is buddy up with somebody. Take notes, exchange them. See what one person got that perhaps you didn't. When it comes time for studying for the exams, buddy up with someone. Some people like studying in groups, some people don't. See what works for you. Try different strategies. Don't keep repeating things that aren't successful. If one method doesn't work for you, try another, all right? Most importantly is think about what you're doing. If a particular method doesn't work for you, make sure that you go and talk to people. Use the MSRC, the Math and Science Resource Center, for tutoring. See if someone in the class can help you. Attend recitations. Go to office hours again. All of these strategies will help you be successful. Courses are going to be different here, but you can succeed. And I welcome you again to Temple. I hope that you employ some of these strategies. My office is in the BioLife building. If you ever need any more advice or need hints, please don't hesitate to see me. And welcome to Temple, and I wish you much success.